1. All right, everybody, welcome to Theory Underground. I'm your host, David McKerracher, and this is a sort of office hour segment that is getting hijacked by looking at Twitter because Daniel Tutt just shared out the Underground Theory volume, which is not necessarily what it's actually going to look like. I pretty much spent 20 minutes or a half hour throwing this together, and it's not the definitive final version of anything. Like, for instance, the text that you see here, stuff like what it actually says up here: a collection of timely, cutting-edge, and real essays theorizing the emerging education and philosophy underground, as well as works on critical media theory, ideology critique, historical interpretation, and the left and its critique, was really just something I threw together. Like, I haven't put a lot of thought into that. Same with the description of Theory Underground, which is: Theory Underground is a critical media theory and alternative education experiment founded, organized, and run by David McKerracher. It is a course-gated social media and publishing site with ongoing seminars and research cohorts. Get involved via the Theory Underground app on Apple and the Google Play stores. So, I just threw this all together last minute. I mean, the app's not even up yet. I wasn't really planning on this getting out there just yet, but Daniel Tutt had asked if he could share it. I said sure, and I wasn't thinking about this reaching like 70,000 people this morning or whatever, but it did. And so there's a lot of people looking at it and talking about it. And so we're all going to look at the hate. And there's a little bit of support, which is also very nice. But it's kind of like surprising numbers of hate. No, not a single person said, "Oh my fucking God, Marshall McLuhan? That's really, really cool. How did you get Marshall McLuhan on here? He's already dead. What's going on here?" But there are a couple of people calling him a conservative and saying that somehow matters or something. And he's not underground. There's a lot of people who take issue with this word underground being used in this context. And obviously, those are people for whom this word must bear incredible weight, meaning that they must have thought very deeply about what it means. And since they're being so critical, they must also have some kind of an idea of what we think the word means, how we're using the word. Of course they do. So, this is it. It's got Marshall McLuhan, Slavoj Žižek, Norman Finkelstein, Alenka Zupancic, and Todd McGowan in a big font. And then kind of like a music festival, right? And then a little bit below that, a little bit smaller font, Catherine Liu, Nina Power, Chris Catrone, Daniel Tutt, Samuel Loncar, Russell Sprigula, Nor Harari, Mike Watson, Ted Reese, Christine Louis DeSoli, David McKerracher, that's me, Michael Downs, Cadell Lass, Jennifer Friedlander, and then it gets a little bit smaller, Ann Selgrove, Brian Weeks, Bryce Nance, Ann and Bryce are here in the call right now with us, Elton L.K., Alan K., Emilio Esquivel Marquez, Sophie Kropp, Michał Rams Lugowski, Philip Sheen, Nick Castellucci, Andrew Flores, Michael Gray, Sean Middlestat, who is also in the chat here with us, and then Antonio C. that's One Dime, by the way, the channel on YouTube, One Dime, Antonio C. And then Ben Horn. And now we get to look at what people's response to it is. So Tutt basically shared it, and he said, "I like how this is laid out like a music festival lineup of bands, out September 1st, with 46 quote tweets, 7 straight retweets, 87 likes, 18 bookmarks, and so far actually 86,000 views. So it's gone up a little bit since last time I heard about it. So let's take a look." First one's first, or should we start first? Are these in order? Does anyone know Twitter? Is this like oldest? No, there's really no order here. 10 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. There's no way to do this like chronologically, is there? I don't think so. It's pretty bald-facedly hypocritical to be releasing a book about the influence of reactionary thought on the left and then get published with Nina Power. A blatant act of cowardice, ignorance, or avarice, all of which are poor substitutes for actual revolutionary zeal. I think that's someone calling out Daniel Tutt for his book on Nietzsche, and Nietzsche as a reactionary's influence on the left, which is something Tutt is doing. And they're critiquing him for what? Being in a volume with Nina Power? Of course, Daniel Tutt does not only not endorse Nina Power, but also never publish the interview that he did with her to the Zero Books channel, right? That's not really fair. The fact that he's included.
Also his essay in the book like literally critiques her. So it's like we've included both of their perspectives. We're allowing that space. We're just allowing people to like get their thoughts out there. They're like, oh my god, horrible. It's like, you haven't even read the articles yet. Calm down.
Yeah, they haven't. They have no idea what it's about. They just see the name, Underground Theory. I'm glad it doesn't really get into any of it. Like I said, timely, cutting edge, and real essays because I couldn't think of what to say in the moment. I just wanted to get this proof out. So
I know, they're acting like we put some like a deep intention into like, oh yeah, we're going to exclude all these women and exclude all these people. And we're going to, put these high-paid academics in the top and then call the audacity to call them underground. How fucking dare us? It's like yeah, honestly, we're using their names to like be like, oh, we got some big names a part of this. And then we got some people who you've literally never heard of. And we're not going to put their names in size 16 font on the cover because you've never fucking heard of Anne Snellgrove or Bryce Nance. Like,
right.
That's not
no, exactly.
That's not sexism. Like, jeez.
You're kind of, and obviously took a look down down Twitter, so she has a bit more of an idea of some of the accusations that are going to get thrown at us. But yeah, so she said, you had touched on and the accusations of sexism. We haven't gotten to that one yet, but could you explain how that one came? Like, what? How did they base that one?
They were like, oh yeah, all of the women in the smallest font on the bottom, just like a normal festival, like music festival.
Yeah,
it's like, Alenka Zupanchik. Yeah, no, fuck her. She doesn't count. Oh, Catherine Liu, Nina Power, Noor, Christine, Jennifer in the second line. No, fuck them. They don't count. Like, it's like these people don't even read. They look at it for 2 seconds and go, I need to get my opinion on Twitter.
Yeah, and what is the logic behind the sizes, right?
The logic behind... Oh, you can explain it.
Yeah, no, go. Yeah, you got it.
Well, just the logic behind the sizes was like, we've got names that people recognize. We've got names that people probably will be interested in reading. It's like there's people on here complaining about the inclusion of Marshall McLuhan. You'd think people would be like, wait, there's a new essay from Marshall McLuhan? Instead they're like, wow, you got some dead guy on here. Like, who fucking cares? So it's like, yeah, obviously Žižek, Finkelstein, Zupanchik, McGowan, McLuhan. It's like there's someone that people know about. And so we put them in highlighted to get people excited and go, oh, something new from Todd McGowan, something new and original from Slavoj Žižek, not to be like, oh, look, we got these fancy people that work in academia. Like, no, they support this project. They wanted to be published. Like, they knew we were going to be published with, like, people who live in Idaho who, like, just have a bachelor's degree, like, people who don't even have any sort of degree. And then the middle names are just people who are a bit more well-known, like maybe they have some sort of following or publication. And then the smaller names are people who, yeah, like I said, are just like kind of aren't really in the field, like myself. Bryce is on there, Brian's on there. We all have some sort of education or not, but we're all like involved in Theory Underground, but we just have like lives outside of this and wanted to contribute. So it wasn't like, oh, we're excluding people, we're prioritizing these people. It's like, oh, the people, the well-known people, the kind of known people, the nobodies.
Yeah,
and I don't
exactly.
think anyone is offended like
I think
by the ordering.
That crucial thing that you said is that it's like the real key I think is that we put the big names because they're acknowledging the fact that we're doing something that matters. Whether they count as underground theorists or not is for people to philosophize about. And different people who are involved with this project might disagree, and it doesn't really matter because those kinds of disagreements are obviously valuable when we're trying to figure out what is this field, what is this emerging scene, and what is its potential. But anyway, yeah, let's scroll down now. So, was this the same person? No, yeah. So this next person says, oh yeah, the newest one, ha ha ha, fucking losers. That's a good one. The person in the profile picture looks like Trump. So, but this one says, none of these thinkers are cutting edge, and the terms underground and theory don't even apply. How are McLuhan and Žižek underground? How is Finkelstein a theorist? How are Power and Catrone cutting edge? Largely banal shit. First of all, I think it's noteworthy that all of these people are on a lineup together. There's nowhere else in the world where you'll see all of these people in a lineup together. So yeah, there's something weird going on there because normally Finkelstein would not be counted with a theory crowd. Same with Catherine and Lou. Finkelstein and Lou are not Žižekians, right? Žižek and all of these others aren't McLuhanites either, right? So yeah, this is obviously not one tendency of theory, and it, as far as theory goes, does lean heavily into the sort of post-political or anti-political or critique of politics kinds of tendencies. Or like the way I describe it usually is that there's two kinds of theory. There's theory that is political theory. It has an explicit agenda. It sees what needs to be done, and it's strategizing how to get that. The other side of theory is saying, "Oh, that keeps fucking failing, dude. Like, why is it failing?" Right, and so the Frankfurt School, the post-structuralists, those thinkers of 1968 in France, especially. These are the thinkers of why shit keeps failing, and then of course people don't like them because they don't come with solutions or agendas that are instantly applicable to policy or revolution. But some people don't appreciate such distinctions or recognize them. But obviously Finkelstein, Lou, Catrone, they all have an explicit political agenda in mind. Other people more or less so. And then some of these people, not at all. But the funniest part about this is this person says none of these thinkers are cutting edge, and then goes into talking about all the big names. As though the point of this is the big names. Of course, those big names are big in print because people will purchase this. But we didn't put this together with the goal of publishing these people so much as publishing ourselves, right? There's just a lot of stuff that I'm very proud of coming out of Theory Underground that I wanted to put out there. And they're coming from nobodies, like Nance, like me, like Sean. I don't know, Sean, would you agree that you are a nobody?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. But as a nobody, these people haven't fucking read you, yet they're already saying that you're not cutting edge. I'm pretty sure that your essay on Huey P. Newton and Lacan talking about trauma in time, past trauma, future trauma, and the whole thing that you do with his sort of autobiography and the application of Lacanian theory, it's fucking cutting edge. Like, I can't think without this distinction that you're making. If I can't think without this distinction, seems like it's probably pretty cutting edge. Judith Butler Bible Thumper said, underground theory of the names in largest print. One is a world-famous millionaire. Another is faculty at an institution where academics try to become world-famous. Another still is tenured faculty in New England. We're still above ground, babe. What is this precedent? I don't know. What is this precedent that makes people think that people in the underground cannot have anything to do with people in the above ground? Right? Like no collab, no collaboration with anybody who's above ground.
Right? It's like they're choosing to participate in something underground. It's like we don't have a real publisher. You know, I don't have any credentials to be editing an anthology. There's probably going to be hella typos in there. Like, I'm doing my best. But, like, yeah, they were like, oh, yeah, I support this project. I want to get an essay in there, knowing that it was going to be kind of ragtag thrown together by some nobodies. We're not doing press for this thing. We're driving around the country going, hey, look at our book. We made it.
Yeah, and Sean said, why even read this shit? And Josh said, Dave needs to vent. And that's exactly right. Theory Underground is me trying to do things different than how I used to do it. But how I used to do it was when a lot of people talk shit online, I just didn't say anything and then had private conversations with a handful of people. And I'm still largely not going to drama monger and get pulled into things. Like 98% of what we do is what we do, which is theory, which is education, which is research, which is publishing. But if you scroll a thing and it's all talking shit about you or people you're associating with, and you just kind of internalize that, one way to deal with it is just to kind of go, oh, whatever, fuck them, and then move on with your life. Another is to kind of just vent it out. And so a little vent session always feels relieving, because otherwise it, like some dumb fuck shit that some mouth breather on Twitter says can stick in your head and keep coming back. But if you actually just talk about it with some friends and go, well, that's fucking stupid, it helps. And so,
yeah, I just want to, because I got to go and like do a couple things, eat some breakfast. I just want to say, because obviously it's like my name is on the front cover of this because I've put in a lot of work like compiling it, and so it's kind of like, don't come at me like I'm literally like a nobody woman, that's important, from like Nevada. But I think just like reading these, yeah, it's kind of funny to go, haha, these people are stupid, but it's reading things like this is one, exactly why we need Theory Underground and any sort of underground theory. It's like the fact that we've got people like Nina and Daniel together and they've agreed to be in this together. We've got people with, who totally simp for the left and the people who are critical of it all in one anthology. So it's like, we just need this to actually have discourse, to actually have dialogue. The most annoying thing about all of this is people are like making their opinions. The essays aren't even out yet. Like they're just seeing some names and they just have associations with some names. And so like, I'm sorry, we're the people here, the people in this anthology, anyone who's been involved with Theory Underground, like, I'm sorry, we're literally superior to all of these people on Twitter. And I not to be like, oh, they should go to the gulag, but it's like they should get fucking lives rather than going on Twitter going, oh, I see a name I don't like. Let me shit on this entire book that people put together that I haven't even read. So it's just like annoying, and it just kind of makes you go, we're doing everything right here. These people are lame. It's kind of fun to just, 15 minutes go, oh, look at this stupid bullshit, get angry about it. But then the other thing is like, in the past, when there's been drama and people trying to like pull Dave's name through the mud, we've never publicly responded. I know Dave is literally right now typing a tweet, and that's like, I guess one thing, but it's like we've never like made any sort of real public video or apology or we need to talk about this or gone and like responded to everyone. It's like, No, we do our little rant session with friends and then we move on with our lives because we have our shit together and we're not pathetic losers on Twitter who just complain about, oh, names are fascist. And then don't even get me started. Here's my rant. Don't even get me started on this fucking, oh, this is just a bunch of fascists. Like someone in one of the ones I read, it was like, oh, all these people who capitulated to fascism through transphobia. It's like literally nothing in this book is about that. First of all, it's like, oh, I'm sorry if people are like critical of everything that's going on. So it's all backwards. We're all doing good work here. Like being part of this, so just taking classes, trying to, improve your own intellect and make your life better by reading theory and doing Spanish. So good job, everyone, for being here. Fuck these Twitter nerds. I don't give a shit. This is why I don't have a Twitter. Okay. Thank you for letting me rant.
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, maybe when you can you also, I don't know, come take this banana from me and then we'll include it somehow in our breakfast because it's getting a little old. But and yeah, I'm also getting a little hungry, but we'll spend at least another 10 or 15 minutes on this, but thanks, Ann. So quick little speed run of what I've looked over so far. People are saying transphobes have no style. They're calling us all transphobes. It's because what? Some people have decided that Žižek is a transphobe or whatever. Fuck off. It's just so stupid. People who think that he's a transphobe are just whatever. I just don't care about them at this point. I don't dogmatically defend everything that Žižek says, but people who think that you shouldn't be working with him or that he shouldn't be working with Nina Power or who are surprised to see his name on something that also has Power as his name on it doesn't realize that Žižek and Power are both on the editorial board of Compact. And, we're not, Theory Underground is not Compact because Compact is more of like a journalism outlet. It's more of a, it's short articles. It's just it's an outlet for different people who don't have an outlet for their voice to get out there, and it represents a broad spectrum of anti-liberal positions. But it's not what we are. But of course, it's an important part of the discourse right now. Žižek and Power are both a part of that, and their inclusion is just. They're part of the discourse and they've got important things to say. And then people want to say, oh, no, they're anyone associated with them is therefore a transphobe. Fuck off. Just fuck off. But what's underground about any of this one person says? All of these people are in the top 10 to 1% of earners in academia. Earners?
Hey, Dave, real quick, can you let me in my phone into the Zoom call so I can go mobile?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You're in. Can I make it so that, no, I'll just keep it this way. All right, what else do we got? So as far as this goes, what's underground about any of this? All of these people are in the top 10 to 1% of earners in academia. Oh, I didn't realize that I was in the top 10 to 1% of earners in academia. That's good news. Apparently everybody's broke as fuck because I'm broke as fuck. Oh, but no, they're talking about Slavoj Žižek. They're definitely not talking about Norman Finkelstein. I don't know if what they're saying applies to McGowan or Zupancic. I don't think it does. They're just thinking of Žižek when they say that because he's obviously paid for all of the books that he keeps spitting out. So, yeah. This person said Marshall McLuhan's inclusion feels particularly weird considering A, he's not even remotely underground, B, has been dead for over 40 years. I think the guy's neat, but it's a bit silly to say he's exactly cutting edge or part of any emerging underground. Can you... What are they talking about? Do they think that underground theory has to only deal with thinkers who were never popular? Can you imagine? What would theory be without great minds who have established or pioneered the most important fields to the humanities and social sciences? McLuhan is one of the most important theorists in the last like 100 years. If you don't think that, you probably just haven't seriously engaged with his work. But oh no, only people in academia, only people above ground, only those people should be bothering with someone like McLuhan, is kind of like what they're saying. Like, no, you little lowly plebes, you fucking autodidacts and dropouts and burnouts and fuck ups who don't really belong in any of these institutions today. You shouldn't be bothering yourselves with great thinkers, because they were popular. Can you imagine if like every musical artist you liked who had an underground ethos was saying, oh, I will just remove from my mind and the intellect or the artist or the artistic milieu that I come from, I will just purge any associations with any music I've ever been influenced by if it got popular. What would that look like? But I want to kind of bring in Christopher and Nance here. I want you guys to be able to kind of and also Josh, but all of you could feel free to unmute and participate, as we go here. So it's not just a monologue. But Nance, what do you think so far?
Everything is two-dimensional. We're all suicidal lemmings. I get it. Like, it's funny. I've definitely been a member of the let's go shit on somebody party before. I don't know so much. Like when I was younger, like it was like, yeah, man, just, let's shit on people for doing shit that, for whatever reason. So I fully get it. I understand these people are on Twitter because they're addicted to it and they're missing something in their life and this is how they fill the hole. I totally get it. And the purpose of, or at least the reason I think Theory Underground has so much fucking potential is because it is designed to fight against that. And it just sucks. It's like people are doing the thing that they do and that they're always going to do and that they're going to keep doing. And I hope that at the very least, some of these people actually fucking read it. Because I like from what I've read, there's some super dope shit in the book. Super dope. Like not even like, oh yeah, it's cool, haha, I like it. It's fucking dope. Like super duper dope.
Like life changing.
And yeah, for real. I think this whole project is life changing. I truly do. Yeah, whatever. I kind of want to resurrect my Twitter account and like
look at
fuck
this
with people now
look
too.
At this one. Buying this should bar you from public life. It will. In a sort of, just give it like 5 years and Amazon will work with like universities and it will share who's bought what, and any professor who's purchased this book or ever associated with any of these people will be cut out from the loop. They'll never get tenure. It's amazing.
I mean, we've been barred either, through our own choices or actions or through the consequence of that were outside of our control. We have been barred from public life in many ways, and that's why the fuck we're here in the first place. We've been excluded. We've been otherized. We've been ostracized. We haven't been served properly, and we're aware of the fact, and we're not willing to settle for mindless Twitter masturbation.
Noir retweeted
it. Totally sucks, dude. It totally fucking sucks that people are shitting on people's, like, they read 5 big names and then they shit on everyone associated. That sucks dick.
Dude, it's one of the most annoying things about people who fetishize the underground in the first place. In my introduction, I dunk on people who fetishize the underground, who think that the underground is great. I talk about how the underground is just as much bad things as it is good things. How a lot of it's just consumerism. A lot of it's just, oh, I'm special, but it's really inherent transgression, right? And so it's very special that this all happened today of all days, because today is the day that we're doing the hardcore panel and the hip hop panel talking about what is the underground and how do underground music scenes relate to the emerging underground theory scene. And then, of course, how does that analogy break down? Or how is that analogy also instructive? But of course, it has limitations. And so the real question is beyond a theory scene, what are the conditions of possibility for that turning into something more? It's turning into some kind of an intellectual milieu, some kind of a working class organic intellectual milieu from which there would be able to be, I don't know, some kind of a genuine movement or 21st century theory that at this point we are lacking. And of course, everybody who's involved, as Nan said, is either excluded because of who they are, things that they've done, or because they fucking want to kill themselves when they're in academia. Because it's suffocating, it's stultifying, it's terrible. And the thing is, you know, that's not fully true. That's mostly true of like state universities. I think if you had all of your time and energy and you're super privileged and you could go to Harvard and you could just kind of focus on study, you're probably going to get an amazing educational experience and just meet so many amazing professors who are going to really help you take things seriously, go deeper, follow things through to their essence or to the ground of whatever the field is, to its fundamental contradictory constitutive components, to its questions, problems, concepts, and key thinkers who've established the contours and divisions within that field. Yeah, that'd be fucking pretty cool, but we ain't there, right? And a lot of us who tried to do a state university realized this is like public school, but worse or whatever. You know, like a lot of people coming into Theory Underground are just like, no, what are you looking for when you come here? I'm asking you guys. Christopher, maybe I'll put you on the spot because I've heard you kind of say it a few times. But like, why are you in university, but also doing stuff here? You're kind of above ground, below ground. What are you doing here, though? Why are you insisting on staying active with Theory Underground, even looking forward to the fall semester and thinking, yeah, I'm going to keep doing the Being in Time course, even while I'll be doing all my other courses?
I would say because I like hanging out with other transphobes. No, I'm just kidding. I would say that it's because I don't really get a lot out of the regular university. Like, it's good for like the credentialism that we all suffer from in this country, and then also money from the VA is nice, so for that aspect, but it's not stimulating. So I wanted to like be challenged and actually learn from like people who apparently are in the top 1 to 10% of the pay for this. But no, on a serious note, I just think that the people who are part of Theory Underground are actually like living it, and all the names on there, especially the ones in the small print, this is like their passion project or what brings them fulfillment. And they're trying to just do philosophy, do theory, and it's not trying to make a name. And I think I know you didn't ask me this, but I think the majority of these people who are hating is just because they're jealous. And it's when you're always like, oh, I could do this, and then it's like you see other names on there with like Žižek and Todd McGowan and stuff. They're probably just like, oh, well, I could have fucking, like Heidegger talks about, I could have done that too. Like, you know, fuck these people. Like, my name should be there. So I'm just gonna send a little fucking tweet and then go back to hitting my bong and jerking off the fucking porn with my Oculus. So yeah, I just think they're jealous. And then as for your first question, still, I would just say everybody here gives a shit or wants to be here, and most of my classmates and shit aren't gonna read primary texts and spend their own money to learn something or to be stimulated or be called. Like, if you called out one of the kids in my class to read out loud and then talk about it, they would shit themselves. because I gotta fucking have my AirPods in or whatever. So I want to be around people who give a shit and this matters to them. So yeah, no word to Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that.
I have to interject here because here I am. I'm like, I'm gonna go do stuff, but I was just, looking at like the replies that people had to the quote tweets. Someone said, I have so many questions about this editor. I have to stop. And so, Dave, they looked up your name. They said LinkedIn profile picture with multiple people in it, boomertutor.com ? And here's the fucking kicker. Philosophy mini conference at his wedding ? And posted pictures of like your LinkedIn profile, like what comes up when you Google search you, and a picture from our wedding website.
Oh my God. What the fuck? Yeah, that's none of their business. That's like a personal thing.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
For those who are curious, we're gonna have a little philosophy fireside chat. Probably should have called it that. We called it a mini conference like months ago when we made this.
No, it's not. Every time I do something where different people present and then there's a sort of panel discussion, even if there's not a real panel, it's just like the presenters talk. I call it a mini con. I've been doing that for like a couple years, and I do mini cons where no public is invited. It's just I invite a few friends and we do a mini con. It's like we treat it like a conference and we do it ourselves. So it's like it's valid, but this is a little bit different because the point of it is for our family and our friends who aren't into philosophy to kind of get to understand where I'm coming from and where like how you and I connect at that level, and how some of our friends, like, I don't know, like they get this sense that, oh, it's philosophy. So they just think of like whatever they associate with philosophy. They think of crystals and New Age or UFOs and conspiracy theories, or they think of, oh, it's a bunch of dead guys from thousands of years ago. It's not applicable to our lives. It's not real science. So who cares? Or they think, oh, these people care a lot about philosophy. Then they must be a bunch of nerds. This is just normal American anti-intellectualism, of course. But for people who don't have giant establishments behind them saying, oh, yes, this person is a certified, expert in a field or whatever. To be passionate about this means that you constantly have to defend yourself. You kind of have to constantly be like, yeah, I care about this. It's good. And of course, most of the time we don't defend ourselves. We just go about doing what we do. But because this is like a wedding, it's a 3-day event, camping out in the woods. There's a lot of family members who've probably never really heard from us or seen how we talk about these things. So they probably just think it's like this academic, removed, stale kind of bullshit that we're doing. And so for those people who are there for that, they will hopefully see that it's whatever we're doing is really cool, right? Like that's the real goal, is just to kind of show them that this is about real life shit. It's instantly applicable. You can't talk about time, energy, and drive or critical media theory and not have that change your life. And that doesn't matter if you're studying this stuff professionally, but it does change your life. It is absolutely, powerful. Concepts are a form of liberation, and one of the most important forms of liberation. And then there's just people who think that that's not important, and that people trying to do that are silly. But yeah, I should probably delete my LinkedIn. I don't know what's on there. Fuck. I was starting a LinkedIn, and the Boomer Tutor thing was actually something that I was going to start actively doing. It's still part of what I want to do with Theory Underground or a related project, but it's not something I'm currently doing. Boomer Tutor just means I'm literally a tutor for boomers. Like, you can pay me to be your on-call consultant to like help you with things. But currently nobody pays me for that. I just do it for free for a bunch of baby boomers in my life who I love. And of course,
that was an idea like years ago also. Yeah.
Well, it's still not gone away. I still do it. I still value it. I still think it's important. Setting up Gideon to be able to write his life story on his blog, even though he was 83 years old, was a very valuable experience. And I still have everything he wrote in a volume. And it's something that I treasure. You know what I mean? But, oh, well, what's that? Fuck that. That must be dumb. Yeah. But what else should we say? Anything else to say about any of this stuff? I guess, let's talk about really quick what underground means to us before we close out. All right, so what does underground mean for us? So I like Cadell Last with his philosophy portal. His definition had been, it's doing what we love with people who we love. And then I had slightly changed the definition for my own purposes to say it's doing what we love with people who we love doing it with. But then I problematized that because I think doing underground theory, since it's not just making music, actually requires engaging with people that you don't necessarily love doing things with or love, because actually choosing a few figures to be people who you think through and dwell with, even though you fundamentally are opposed to or disagree with them, is the essence of the idea of the university, which is a community of truth seekers working through the necessary and constitutive contradictions formed by a plurality of truth seekers trying to interpret reality and share their perspectives and point out what the other people are not able to see and say, well, these operating assumptions you're working with or these dogmas that you're working with it might help you see X, Y, or Z thing, but you're completely missing A, B, and C. And like the issue with today, with academia today, generally speaking, is that there's a breakdown in that kind of pluralistic discourse, that pluralistic truth seeking. And even if you have it, it's usually little cliques, little affinity groups, little research cohorts that are kind of isolated from the broader university as an institution or as a movement. And so, yeah, I part of what we're trying to, why do we want to do stuff underground? It's in part because we want to participate in a community of truth seekers who don't necessarily agree with one another about a lot of base operating assumptions, except for a few, such as the fact that it is important that we do this. This does matter. And if we don't do this, then we suffer. Right? No great theory comes from working in isolation or from only reading people who you like or from only reading people who you agree with. But a lot of these people think it's the end of history. A lot of people think that everything that we ever had to think about has already been thought, and now you basically just have to choose a side. It's red versus blue, and all scholarly efforts should be towards defaming one side while, propping up your own side. Just assume your master signifier, assume a shared big other, assume an audience who gets it, and only speak to people within your own discipline. No recourse to the bigger idea of interdisciplinarity. I can't fucking say this word right now, but like the idea of like interdisciplinarianism is inherent to the idea of the university. If you are immersed in a field, if you are authoritative in a field, if you've been living and breathing a field your whole life, you should be still trying to have conversations with people who are outside of your fields. People in the humanities and social sciences should be talking to people who are in the harder sciences, right? And philosophy of science and technology and critical media theory kinds of conferences are an opportunity to be able to bring people together from all the rest of these various fields. And that's why Carl Jaspers thinks that technology might be itself like one of the major branches of the future university, right? This is why we started out the courses at Theory Underground with the idea of the university, is to be very clear that this is the idea, but of course the reality of the institution falls short of that. And so, and of course, like I said, not for people who've got really amazing opportunities, and they might be able to have complete access to everything we're talking about, but we did not experience it. Right? All of us in our own ways, we did not experience it when we tried to go to the university. But Josh has taken off and he says, I really hope you can see the irony in the way the Twitter left is reacting, just a reactionary reflex to maintain the vamp castle. Also, it probably is the best marketing you can get for free. I love being with you guys. It really feels like I'm able to learn something. Tearing with Zupanchic's work in one of the later courses was just invaluable to me. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for being here. Send me an email with a reminder to send you that link to that thing that I forgot to share into the chat before we started recording?
It was actually really, really easy to find it online. So
You
no
got
need
it.
to.
Okay, wonderful.
So, thank you guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Bye. All right, take care. But, that's still an insufficient definition of underground. Underground means a lot of other things too. And so I'm going to actually turn it over here to everyone else to speculate about what underground means for a couple minutes while I step aside. I'll be right back. And then I'll give my closing thoughts on what underground is, which is like, usually when people get all like, oh, this thing, it appears hypocritical, right? Whenever people do this thing where they're just kind of asserting that something appears hypocritical, it's an indicator of sloppy thinking, because a lot of perceived hypocrisies come down to fundamentally different understandings of key signifiers. And if you care more about understanding than hot takes or defaming people, then you actually want to understand how people are using a term, because obviously we wouldn't have done it if it was so superficially hypocritical. I mean, it might be hypocritical at some deeper level. We could talk about that, but this is not at a deep level where they're at when they're saying that, right? And so let's just, we'll close out by saying what it does mean to us and why it is underground. And I'll let Nance kind of lead it off. Sean and Christopher and Anne can jump in at whatever order they like, and I'll be right back.
I think the underground is a place created by and managed by and maintained by and enriched by the denizens of the place itself. I think any underground is contingent on the people there in the first place, taking ownership and initiative, and truly trying to make a deliberate space. I think when any group of people gets together and collectively listens to the thoughts that keep them awake at night, and do the actual hard work of creating spaces, either in their time off from their full-time job, or whatever time energy that they can wrestle away from capital. I think that is the condition that makes something underground. The fact that all the work, all the infrastructure, all the maintenance, all the thought energy that goes into shit, all of that is done by the people there in the first place. It's not done by committee. It's not done externally by an organ or an organization or an association or whatever. It's an intentional space made and kept and propagated by the people who are there, as opposed to one that those people are subject to, or subjected to, rather.
Could you touch on I guess you did kind of touch on the DIY aspect, but could you touch on how, for you, Nance, someone like Ian McKay, or is it Mackay? I always fuck it up, man.
It's McKay. Everyone says Mackay, but it's McKay.
Yeah, see, that's why I get confused. But could you kind of just tell me why he's inspirational for you, and why it is that even though he's worth millions right now, you think he never sold out, and he is like the essence of like true underground shit?
So Ian McKay was the frontman for the bands Minor Threat and Fugazi and Teen Idols and some other DC hardcore and East Coast hardcore, just punk rock bands. And he started a lot of trends or movements in the scene, and he was always pushing the scene. He was always out ahead of it. Everyone in the hardcore scene was chasing Ian McKay. And guys like Henry Rollins, who is kind of a fucking idiot, has like massive success based on appropriating Ian McKay's aesthetic of this like do-it-yourself, like hardcore mentality. But EMK never chased success. Like his bands never sold merch. Like all the kids at their shows had to make their own T-shirts. He never did the shitty rock star thing. He created the art that he truly believed in. He was able to chase those thoughts that kept him awake at night. And he maintained ownership, and he did the hard work. He was playing shows, but he was also making fucking phone calls and driving the van and, responding to kids' letters that he would send a letter. Hey, are you coming to some bullshit town in the middle of Iowa? Yeah, we'll be there. Like, he did all the work. And that, again, it really does come down to the labor and the intentionality. Like, if you're going to be in a space, and if you're going to take up space, and if you're going to presume to be one, a role model or whatever, and you don't do any of the hard work and the leg work and the back breaking shit, then fuck off, dude. Fuck you. And yeah, I think that's it. I think the fact that he put it all on his back and he did it all with a smile on his face. I think that's what sets him apart.
Yeah, and I think that there's an argument to be made that if you come from the underground, there's a way to stay true to the ethos of the underground, even though now you are a victim of the spectacle, right? And that's why so many celebrities die from or have their lives ruined in substance abuse. It's not the substance abuse that did it. It's the substance abuse was their, desperate attempt to, get outside of that spectacle that was proliferating billions of images of themselves across the world and being at the disposal of everybody's sort of ad hoc interpretations, right? And so it's hard. I think that does something to you. It damages you. It hurts. These people who like to talk shit online don't understand that there's real people on the other side of these things, and those people are doing the best they can. I even defend people like I don't like Sam Harris, but I always will go to defending his turn towards spirituality and meditation at a certain level, just because I do this for everybody. Every time people go and start bashing on, oh, well, that person started doing self-help guruism, it's like, yes, but what does any responsible person do when they have millions of people desperately hanging on to their every word and seeking out life advice from them? Like, do you just tell them, fuck off, I'm not your master, I can't tell you anything? Or do you say, hey, everybody, sit down and breathe? Hey, everybody, learn to do X, Y, or Z things. Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
Oh, I just wanted to say...
Do you want to sit in the chair right here?
No, I'm going to make breakfast and talk to children.
Oh, okay.
But the real fascism is trying to silence thought and speech and thinking.
That's the real, yeah. Trying to silence thought, speech, thinking. That's the real fascism. Absolutely. That's the realist. And people are like scared of someone who disagrees with them. Oh, that person caused me harm. I'm going to kill myself if someone says something I don't like. Okay, everybody. You don't care about truth. You don't care about the idea of university. You don't care about truth seeking as a practice. You think we have it all figured out. You think we're at the end of history. But, but with all of that said, though, I think that someone like Žižek, though, of course, I do think that most of his political takes are just standard Guardian fare, are nonetheless, he is nonetheless capable of being argued as being an underground thinker, because he has always broken academic convention to do what he thinks matters the most. And I think that that's admirable. Trying to get people's attention is not inherently evil. Trying to get people's attention or do something that will actually get you out there more isn't like somehow contradictory. Like you're supposed to hustle your shit. Right? Like, I hate marketing. It would be easy for me via some sort of ressentiment to basically be like, oh yeah, I keep it underground. That's why I keep it word of mouth. I don't do marketing. But that would be fucking bullshit. That'd be fucking bullshit. There's nothing wrong with trying to get your ideas out there. And now, actually, is this Jason Miles who just joined in the chat? What's up, Jason? Sorry, we're recording right now and we're just finishing the last segment. We're talking about some bullshit on Twitter or whatever. But I think Jason said last time he was on a call with us, it doesn't matter if you get big or popular or not, as long as you're still doing what you love. Right? And some people are like, no, it has to be unloved by the masses. If the masses like it, it must be bad. This is like the cheapest form of hipster authenticity you can purchase at your local Spencer's or, sorry, Hot Topic or whatever, you know?
Whole Foods now. They grew up.
They grew up. It's Whole Foods now. But I think we're about to close this segment out. It's look, if people want to argue whether someone like Žižek is or is not good, think about it, but think deeper about it. And all of the people who are contributors here who have big names, arguably they've maintained their intellectual and artistic projects, right? Oh, this is a different Jason. Whoops. Thank you for letting me know that, Jason. But no, I think, especially with Norman Finkelstein, if anybody wanted to argue that Norman is not underground, then I would wonder what they're on and why they're not sharing. Because Finkelstein is potentially the most forced into the underground public intellectual of the last 100 years. I'm not sure that anyone's been more routinely blacklisted, silenced, misportrayed, lied about.
He's punk rock as fuck, dude. He's the most punk rock fucking thinker.
And when Nance says punk rock, he has in mind an ethos. It's not a genre. The hardcore ethos is what this is about. And so that's what we'll be talking about today for the hardcore panel. And then after the hardcore panel, we'll do a CMT reflection. And then after the CMT reflection, it's the hip hop panel. And basically it's just going to be a bunch of presenters presenting on underground theory, presenting on movements or scenes in music that they come from, things that they found interesting or inspirational in that, and applying it to the contemporary situation. And then there will be a, kind of a broader conversation towards the end where both panels get to hang out and talk. And I'm really excited for all of that. So if you're watching this today, it is the July 18th, 2023. That's the day that it is for me as I say this out loud. If you're watching this right now, it's because we were going to put this out same day that we recorded it. And just know that in the background, there's actually like this mini conference going on at Theory Underground. And if you are on the email list or if you want to check my Substack, you'll see there are actually links to join and everything like that. But if not, if you're watching this after the fact, stay tuned. These things will be posted soon. Okay, so lots of really exciting stuff to come. With that, everybody, thank you so much for listening to me vent about silly people online. And there you go. I mean, really, I hate marketing, but this kind of markets itself. People fucking hating on it. Maybe I should do worse graphic design. If I did worse graphic design, it would probably market itself even better. Should I use Comic Sans next time? Just base Arial for everything. I'm sure that would...
Wingdings. Wingdings on construction paper.
That'll do it.
With clip art. With Clippy. A picture of Clippy holding like the Communist Manifesto or something fucking... I don't know, something funny.
Dude, that would be the best. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Once again, I'm your host, David McKerracher. And at Theory Underground, we are trying to keep it real while also hystericizing ourselves as to whether or not we are even able to do so anymore in this age of spectacle and simulation that we are living in. If you want to get involved, make sure to check out Theory Underground, the website, theory-underground.com. As far as like the whole DIY thing that Nance was touching on, this is like my little media project experiment baby thing that is all something that's come out of a decade's worth of work trying to organize and facilitate educational spaces that compensate for the sort of apparent lack at the institutions that I've tried to gain an education in, right? So this is just me trying to do it with a handful of people who get it. And if other people catch on eventually, great. If they never do, fuck it. I don't care. I'll keep doing what I think matters. And that's why we led off with a course like the idea of the university or the professional managerial class, consciousness and ideology class. Everyone's like, oh, that's not something you need to think about. We already understand what that is. And who cares? That's not even a big name. And it's like, yeah, we're not primarily focused on big names. Yes, we'll do things with Alenka. Yes, we'll do things on Žižek's like most profound and difficult theoretical works, but that's not really the point. The real point is to base ourselves in this field and do so more substantially than memes and scrolling and YouTube or Twitch is ever going to be able to empower you to do, right? This is there's something about committing to something, buying into something, get involved with actual other people who've got faces and names and voices, and you can hear their voices and see their faces. I mean, there's something to it, and it breaks past this just kind of being spread out across, oh yeah, the algorithms, and this is currently in topic, and now that thing is trending. And no, we're focusing in on a handful of essential questions, concepts, problems, and doing so systematically, or at least trying to do so methodically and in a sort of meta way, so that we can develop an intellectual milieu, so that we can have shared reference points, so that we can go back to those and think and critique and reinterpret one another and ourselves as it unfolds. And if you don't have that as your groundwork, then how are you ever going to have that? I don't know that it's possible. I think that these are like, we are experimenting with the conditions of possibility for a real intellectual milieu to emerge in the underground. But in the meantime, we're a bunch of fucking nobodies. And we're okay with that. But people acting like we're like the 1% or something just because we got a handful of bigger names to say, hey, that's a cool project. Here's a manuscript. Y'all are not really thinking about what it means, you know? And yeah, but if you want to get involved, there are courses. They do cost money because it turns out I have to live. And every time I go for food, they still tell me I have to pay for the food. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I pay for food still. Until people realize I should have everything for free, I'll keep paying for food. But if you want to get involved and you're too broke to get involved, there is a scholarship. And so make sure to go to the website, sign up for the scholarship. It's really easy. I don't say no to people unless it looks like they're copying and pasting answers that don't actually respond to the real questions. But yeah, I love bringing people in who otherwise would not be able to participate in stuff like this, because ultimately that's what it's all about. So thank you and take care. Peace.